Good afternoon, everyone. Today is our Legal and Finance Committee agenda meeting for October 2nd, 2019. Would like to begin with a roll call and determination of quorum, please. Here. Thank you very much. If I could have a motion for the adoption agenda, or if there's a change on the agenda.
Move to adopt.
I have a motion to approve by Nordstrom and a second by Drew. Now is the time for members of the public to discuss or express concerns to the council on any issue not on the agenda. Action will not be taken at the meeting on any issue not on the agenda except by placement on the agenda by unanimous vote of the council members present. I see no general public comment. Right now, I would like to recognize
Bill Evans.
Alderman Drew, please.
Thank you very much, Chairwoman. I would like to take a point of privilege at this time to make it known that people have contacted me in Ward 5 and for the Greater Rapid City area. They'd like to see the council meetings and also these committee meetings back on television so they wouldn't have to stream them. Streaming is not something that all of our citizens can do. They might not have a computer, they might not know how to get to it, and it's just easier if they can just turn on their TV and see these meetings. And so I had some concerned citizens who contacted me. I know it's an additional expense, but I would still like to see these meetings back on the airwaves for access by the community. So thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Drew. Now is the time for, we have consent items 1 through 18. Are there any items that the council would like to pull? Yes. Richie Nordstrom.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item number 7, please.
And Alderman Woman Drew.
17.
So if I could have a motion to approve, motion by Mr. Lewis, second by Drew.
Yes, sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Some consent items 1 through 18 are approved with the exception of 7 and 17. Now is the time for public comment on those items. See no forms for comment. We will move on to item number 7. Item 7 is to acknowledge the August 2019 General Fund Cash Balance Report. I will go to Mr. Nordstrom.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, if I make a motion to acknowledge this report, and if I get a second, retain the floor. Thank you.
We have a motion by Mr. Nordstrom, second by Mr. Lehman. You have the floor, Mr. Nordstrom.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lehman. I appreciate that. What I just want to bring to the attention of everyone is that if you recall, the mayor's budget presentation had to talk about any kind of glitches that are happening with the sales tax. It really shows up. And if you get an opportunity to take a look at the general fund cash balance that we have right now, for 2019, it is started the early dip into the fall season, and so normally we start seeing this in September, October, but now we're starting to see it in August. So I just wanted to bring that to the folks' attention so that there is something to be aware of because of it affects a lot of things that were going on, and then also I'm interested in it because of the funds that come in for revenue for the CIP. And if we don't get that, then a lot of projects have to be withheld or deferred. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Nordstrom. Chair recognizes Pauline Sumption, Finance Officer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just for clarification purposes, for August, we only received one sales tax check. I wouldn't consider that a glitch, but we received the second payment that would normally have been received in August of the general fund was $2.5 million, so it would have been right at $8 million had we actually received it in August like we normally do. I do show that we have received 3 payments in September, though, so that should even out at that point.
All right, thank you very much. Seeing no other comments, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say sign. The motion passes. Now we will move to item number 17, authorize the mayor and finance officer to sign the professional services agreement for the 6th and Omaha Street Pedestrian and Bicycle Crossing Study and 6th Street Promenade Corridor Master Plan with Felsberg, Holt, and Ulvig in an amount not to exceed $125,097.
Okay. I pulled this, so
Okay, Chair recognizes Darla Drew.
I should have checked in, but thank you. I have a few questions for our community development person, Ken Young. So, Ken. Okay, so we're going to start studying this, I see. And so when would this start? I just didn't see any start date, even if it's approved. What time when it would begin for the study?
I'm going to get that answer from Kip. He's got the details on that.
Great.
Sure. Kip Harrington, Long Range Planning.
Thanks, Kip.
So once this contract is signed, we'll get started right away. We'll issue a notice to proceed, and we should get started by the end of the month of October, and we anticipate this study to take about 6 to 8 months to complete.
And what triggered this study or this, request?
A lot of it came from our downtown master plan, which identified the desire for a better connection between downtown and Memorial Park and the Civic Center. And as we see the Civic Center redevelop with the addition onto the Civic Center, we're anticipating a lot more traffic between downtown and that new event center at the Civic Center. And we're looking for ways to improve that as a pedestrian walkway and a bicycle walkway to get people to be able to utilize downtown and get to the Civic Center without having to drive back and forth between them.
What's been identified as what we have wrong now with that crossing?
Right now it's difficult to cross. There's a lot of traffic on Omaha Street. It's a divided 6-lane facility, so pedestrians crossing don't feel safe a lot of the times. That pedestrian signal also is difficult to coordinate with the traffic signals at both 5th Street and Mount Rushmore Road, so the Department of Transportation is very supportive of removing another signal from their system. And we are looking at possibly trying to do a grade-separated intersection there, whereas the Omaha Street would actually go down in grade and go below the normal roadway surface, and then 6th Street would continue over the top of that to provide that opportunity for pedestrians to cross over Omaha Street without any conflicts with vehicular traffic.
Okay, that was some great civic speak there, but does that mean that we're putting in some kind of an overwalk, or what is that?
It would be almost like a little bit of an archway, so it would be almost more at grade with 6th Street. If we were to do just a pedestrian overpass, we found that people don't like to use those. They would just dash across the street when the opportunity presents itself. So this, by lowering the roadway and then raising 6th Street a little bit, it takes away that opportunity for people to dash across the traffic and provides that grade-separated opportunity for crossing.
Well, I use that a lot, not a lot, but when my grandsons are here, because that's the best way to get to that, access that park. And I see when our Civic Center arena expands, we're going to need some better walkways to get from downtown to that area. So are you thinking this, when we look at this, it's a entirety of 6th Street, right?
Correct. We'll be taking a look at 6th Street from the Performing Arts Center on the south to the Civic Center at the north. This study will examine all the different bicycle and pedestrian connections there, and a big portion of this will be how would we reroute our bus system if we were to close off that 6th and Omaha intersection, since our bus system is located right there at that intersection. A lot of our bus routes utilize that. It might be difficult for them to reroute some of our buses, and this study will help us answer those questions.
I love this information. I even might ask you to repeat this on Monday night because I just think people would want to know. I put it on my Facebook page and I got a lot of response on it of people that are just interested in how we're going to expand that and make it safer for crossing. Right now, I don't think people feel very safe. At least I don't. I don't feel like the lights are going to really stop those cars that are coming down Omaha. So thank you for that, and I might ask you again on Monday night if you're going to be here. So
I can certainly be here if you'd like.
I would like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I yield.
Thank you. Seeing no other comments, we do not have I have Mr. Young wanting to
Oh, yeah.
address
Yeah.
us. Ken?
So I could have answered all those questions except for the date as to when we were getting started, but that's fine because Kip is taking charge of this, and I will be here Monday night. I've kind of spearheaded this project since I started here to get this promenade corridor going along 6th Street and having this pedestrian crossing. So Kip is certainly welcome to come, but I can be here and answer all of those questions, why and wherefore. And
Yeah, well, I'm a fan, but I just want people to know, I don't want to see a Ferris wheel or a conveyor belt or, a lot of things that, people have been saying we're looking at. We're looking at real practical solutions here, so thank you
Right.
very much.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Thank you, Mr. Harrington. I see no other comments. I do not have a motion yet.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Lewis and a second by Nordstrom. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same side. Motion carries. That brings us to the end of the consent calendar. And so public comment for items 19 through 20. We will go on to item 19, which is the second reading and recommendation of ordinance number 6348 regarding supplemental appropriation number 6 for 2019. Have a motion by Lewis, a second by Drew. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same side. Motion carries. And next, we go on to item 20, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 6355 and an ordinance amendment amending Title 17 of the Rapid City Municipal Code to exempt small wireless facilities from the definition of microcell wireless communications facilities. Chair recognizes Darla Drew.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I can't, it seems odd that we're even in charge of this. It just seems kind of unusual. Anyway, so I guess I have some questions for Carla Cushman.
Go ahead.
Hi, Carla. So I've went over this several times. I read through this and really tried to wrap my head around it. We're trying to just get rid of some antiquated language. Is that what we're doing? And bringing things together? Or please explain.
Well, this is an amendment to our zoning code that would remove from zoning regulations small wireless facilities, also known as small cell facilities, that the council recently looked at as part of the Verizon agreement. There was some ambiguity in our zoning code that it's possible that the zoning code would regulate these and would regulate them when they occur on private property and impose these requirements on these small cell facilities. And the federal government is the one that really regulates these kinds of things.
Yeah.
And they make a distinction between microcells and small cells. So this just cleans up our ordinance with regard to small cells and says that we don't consider those to be anything that the zoning code regulates. And then it also says that when companies want to put these small cells on public property and including in the right-of-way, that they need to enter into an agreement with the city. And that is what Verizon has already done, and that's what we want other companies to have to do before they use public space for that reason.
So right now, they don't have to have an agreement with the city to use public space?
No, I think that if they want to go in our right-of-way, if they want to go on our poles, if they want to go on our public property, yes. This just clarifies that we don't use our ordinances to regulate these, we use agreements. Some cities have decided to use their ordinances to do that, including some cities in South Dakota, but we decided to go the route of negotiating with each vendor, with each company individually.
Okay, so will we see these agreements come before us, or did that, okay, so this will be part of our business from now on?
Yes. You have already approved the one for Verizon.
Right.
So, and there's right now a limited number of companies that may come before you, and hopefully all the work we did with Verizon will manifest when we are negotiating our agreements with these other companies, but we will see.
Well, it could be a limited number, or it could grow. I mean, this is we can't really predict the future on a lot of these things, so I think that it's good to put this in place now, so we have some kind of a way of regulating and being aware of what's going on with our airwaves, so thank you very much. I yield.
Chair recognizes Richie Nordstrom.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Carla, just to follow up on your comment about other cities within South Dakota, I'm familiar with Aberdeen having the 5G system already in place. Is this, two questions, is there other cities other than Aberdeen? I presume Sioux Falls has got something. And then the other question has to do with the availability of going to 5G as well.
I know that some cities in South Dakota have passed an ordinance regulating this. I know Brookings has one. I don't know about Aberdeen. I know Sioux Falls has regulated this through agreements with the different providers. I believe Spearfish has done that as well, Sturgis. So yeah, it's not just, and small cells provide, I'm not an expert, but they provide 4G as well as 5G.
Yep.
And what we've been told by Verizon, which is the one that we have worked with, and an agreement has been completed, that they are not promising us 5G at all. They say this is for our current, to increase the quality of our 4G network. But these sorts of small cell facilities, the same facilities that we're talking about here, are what provides 5G elsewhere. So in the future, these small cell facilities, my understanding is that they will become more and more common everywhere, including in Rapid City.
Right.
But then there also might be some sort of future technology that we can't even predict. So.
Sure. And I know we here in Rapid City are not ready for 5G, plus the industry itself has not got the proper code yet for writing up 5G as well. So I saw Mr. Tech come, but basically my understanding of the 5G systems out there, they're just a large transformer. If you're familiar with the transformers that are utilized by the electrical companies for breaking down the high energy to residential energy, those transformers are about the same size as what these 5G cells are. So they're not these humongous towers that we're used to seeing. We call them flagpole towers, and now they're coming down to these basically these transformer-sized cells that can be utilized in the neighborhoods. And I think about the only objection we'll be seeing from the community is they start seeing all these transformers size cells showing up in the community, and that's about the only objection I see that it be coming this way. So if there's any other comments or additions, I welcome it from either the staff or the community.
Well,
Oh, go ahead, Carl.
I'm sorry, just to respond, small wireless facilities are defined in federal law as they generally go on existing poles in the right-of-way. They're generally less than 50 feet tall. They're less than 3 cubic feet in size, the actual antenna, and then the associated equipment is a small size too. So yes, we are definitely talking about something other than the big towers. Those are continuing to be regulated under the zoning code. No changes are being made to that.
And just to follow up on that, if I may, is that we are getting more and more resistance to those flagpole towers as well, because I've seen probably 2 or 3 since the time I've been on the city council in objections to those flagpoles. So I see these 5Gs coming in and being very acceptable to the community.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll yield.
But Carla, before we have a motion here, it's my understanding that this does not deal with 5G. We're not going out there and telling everyone we're getting 5G.
Oh, no.
so
Verizon
we're
was
making-
very cautious in talking to us, and they're the
Right.
only company that we've spoken with that they are not promising 5G at all. These kinds of facilities can be used for 4G or 5G.
Okay, thank you. We need a motion on this? Motion by Lewis, second by Lehman. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. There being no other business? Motion to adjourn by Lewis, second by? Me. Alderman Drew. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.